Delayed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_Bieber. Well, today's show was going to just be talking about Dynasty rookie drafts and the ADPs across all of the Red Rock Dynasty leagues, but of course, some huge news has hit us with DeMarcus Cousins getting injured. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. Let's take a look now at the situation in LA with the Lakers and DeMarcus Cousins tearing his ACL in his knee. That is likely the season over for Cousins. Players can sometimes return from an ACL in 9 months' time. We are here in the middle of August, so we've got 4.5 months left this season or this year, and then we'll be looking at 9-month return is another 5 months next season, which puts him into May. We're cooked. Like, he's done. His season is over, and you really have to worry about Boogie's career now. Tore his Achilles tendon, which is an injury which obviously affects people quite a bit. Came back at the end of last season for the Golden State Warriors. Didn't quite look himself, but wasn't too bad. Tore his quad muscle, which is a serious injury in itself. Came back for the NBA Finals and looked not quite himself. And now another devastating lower limb injury with his torn ACL. There is no way in my mind that DeMarcus Cousins ever returns to 80% of the player he was, 70% of the player he was. You have to feel like maybe his career isn't done, but the fact that he's struggled to get anything more than a marginal contract the last 2 seasons makes you wonder what's going to happen for him next season. It is a real worry for him, and you don't like seeing injuries like that happen to anybody. It's obviously terrible news for him and for his career, and I just don't see where he's ever having those big minute roles now. So in any sort of dynasty format, if anyone believes that DeMarcus Cousins is going to be coming back and putting up even what he did last season on a per minute basis, where he was or per game basis, where he was the 29th ranked player overall on a per game basis, I have significant doubts that he's even going to find himself anywhere near a role that would allow him to do that. Or, to be honest, I think there's a greater chance of DeMarcus Cousins not even being in the NBA next season, and that might sound wild, than being anywhere close to what he was in that last season for the Pelicans. It's terrible news for him, and his dynasty value obviously gets hurt. But now, what happens for this season with the Lakers? Well, it is really bad. Their roster currently consists of JaVale McGee as a center. There is Anthony Davis, who of course is a center, and that is his best position, but due to his ridiculous stubbornness, seems to refuse to play there, although he played 80% of his time there last season. He is going to have to play center. There is no other center on this roster. I think what the Lakers will do now, I thought they would start Cousins at center. I think they're going to have to start Davis at center now. I don't believe that you can start McGee there, because if you do start McGee there, then who comes off the bench when McGee needs a rest? Do they just have Davis and slide him over? But then you do get into some rotational staggering issues. So I think we have Davis start there, McGee come in, and then they work it that way. But in the end, it doesn't really matter who's starting or who isn't. What this means is it's a boost for Anthony Davis's fantasy value. I had a top 3 initially in terms of the per game rankings on Basketball Monster with my projections. That is changing now. There is now a top 4. Of course, you can obviously work out from that Davis wasn't in that top 3. He is now in that top 4 of guys who you could throw a blanket over pretty much in terms of deciding who could the number 1 pick be. He moves up there because he's going to now play more at center, which is going to help his rebound total, which was going to take a hit playing alongside Cousins. We saw that in that year with the Pelicans, that he didn't rebound the ball as well as he did last season, and it increases his usage. It increases LeBron James's usage. It also increases the future MVP Kyle Kuzma, who I wasn't even sure if he could crack 30 minutes a night with McGee, with Cousins, with Davis, with LeBron, all those guys around. I think he's going to have to now. I think he'll move into the starting lineup. Now, he's never been a top 100 player. There's no guarantee he'll be a top 100 player this season. And his usage, I'm not sure it'll be as high as what it was last season, Kuzma, just because of those players around him. Introducing Davis and hopefully a full season of LeBron James means that we won't be getting all those shots from Kuzma. He needs to improve his efficiency, but he is more now on the radar for standard leagues. I think it also, weirdly enough, hurts Rajon Rondo as we have more LeBron playing up at that power forward position, and maybe they go with more Rondo at point guard. I absolutely despise that decision. Hopefully they go with Alex Caruso instead if they're going with another point guard. But it does mean that someone's going to have to take those opportunities. So it does change things quite a bit for the Lakers and their projections. It boosts Davis. It boosts JaVale McGee significantly. He is a must-roster player, an absolute chance at being a top 50 guy. Probably should be drafted in the top 80, maybe top 70 as well. I think it helps Danny Green a little bit. It helps Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. It helps Kuzma. It helps Rondo. It helps a bunch of these guys. Maybe it helps big, sexy Alex Caruso as well. So lots of changes there. Me waking up to this DeMarcus Cousins ACL injury after I'd just written a whole segment on him for one of the Basketball Monster articles yesterday for when that comes out, so that'll have to be edited, obviously. But the changes I've made to the projections now, it does vault Anthony Davis up pretty significantly after this news with DeMarcus Cousins and his ACL injury. Terrible news for Boog, for the Lakers, and it is putting them in a real bind in terms of those big men positions. Support for today's show comes from Manscaped. Number one in men's below-the-belt grooming. You may have seen Manscaped on Shark Tank, and Men's Journal named their Lawnmower 2.0 as one of the best tools in men's grooming. If you need to get your ballsack under control, get 20% off and free shipping with promo code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. That is locked on at manscaped.com. All right, time for us to talk about what we actually came here to talk about today, and that is looking at the Red Rock Dynasty Leagues. Now, I have multiple Dynasty Leagues. I think I have, guessing this, 7 30-team Dynasty Leagues, plus about another 4 or 5 that ranging from 12 up to 16-team Dynasty Leagues, and all of our rookie drafts were conducted. Now, 2 of those leagues didn't have rookie-only specific drafts because of the way they were set up. One of them is sort of a keeper league rather than a Dynasty League, so it wasn't just rookies. And the other one is a league that has a college or a non-NBA player draft in December, so a lot of those rookies were taken off the board in that 2-round draft in December. So all of the other ones, I compiled the ADPs of these players, and this is how it all came out, which I think can be useful for you guys drafting if you haven't done Dynasty rookie drafts, and to get an idea where people value this. It's not be all and end all. I think it is an 8 or 9 league sample, so it is really still small sample size. It does get skewed a bit because the majority of people in these leagues listen to this podcast, so they will take some of the things that I say about the valuation of players, and that may not apply to what league you're in. So you'll see some guys that seem higher than maybe the consensus, and that maybe is influenced by me talking about how much I like these certain guys. But let's get in and talk about where these players sit. At number 1, no surprise, Zion Williamson. He was picked at number 1 in every single Dynasty rookie draft. I don't think anyone should have any surprise of that. If you have the number 1 pick in a Dynasty rookie draft, don't try to go off script too much. I think you just take Zion and we go with it from there and make that look. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think you have to take Zion there at number 1. The consensus number 2, of course, was Demetrius Morant, Ja Morant at number 2. Everyone's gone with him, and I think they're the 2 number 1 rookies for redraft leagues, for Dynasty leagues. I'm not as sold on Morant as being a generational player as being an excellent player as some people are, but I think he cracks the top 75 this season, and will get better after that. So they are pretty obviously the top 2 Dynasty draft players. I don't think if anyone did have any drafts, leave it in the comments below on the YouTube video or tweet it at me. If you had a Dynasty rookie draft and either Zion didn't go 1 or Morant didn't go 2, tell me why, and tell me who went in those spots. That'd be great to know if that actually did happen anywhere else. This is where things can get a little bit weird. ADP of 3 was RJ Barrett. He went at 3 in majority of those formats. There was maybe 1 or 2 leagues where he didn't go at 3, but overall he did go there at 3. His season is going to be really interesting, how he fits in with these other Knick players who all like to get their shots, and his development and how they how they use him is going to be really interesting to see exactly what the Knicks do with Barrett. I'm not sure. He's not a lock for a top 100 spot this season. He is still a late round drafted guy, but if anyone's taking him in the top 70 of a redraft league, they're making a pretty significant mistake in my opinion. But that is the way that I had the top 3 setting out. At ADP of 4, Brandon Clark of the Memphis Grizzlies. I had Clark at 4. This is where I think it would diverge a little bit from some maybe other less hardcore or more mainstream thoughts in terms of Dynasty rankings. I don't imagine Clark's going at 4 in most places. He does have an ADP of 4 across my leagues. People recognize that I enjoy him, that he had that Summer League MVP campaign. I had him at 4 before Summer League, so that didn't change anything there for me. His impact this season is all going to come from defensive numbers, and how he fits on the court with Jonas Valanciunas, Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. remains to be seen, but he will be in the rotation guaranteed from opening night. With an ADP of 6, The fifth rookie off the board, but again, not an ADP of 5, an ADP of 6, Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think he's got a chance to be the third best rookie for this season. I don't know what he's going to be able to do. It's hard to judge much off his college season because he barely played. He was a good shooter, but he never passed. Can he get assists? Can he generate steals? Can he be efficient? Someone needs to get some sort of assist on this Cavs team. It's probably going to be Osman and Love who lead the team in assists, with Sexton and Garland both being guys who just don't enjoy passing whatsoever. But he's going to come in with an opportunity, a pretty clear opportunity, even if it's not from opening night, to be a 30-minute-a-game guy. And you'll see his minutes consistently rise, I believe, as the season goes on. With an ADP of 7, Jarret Culver comes in. His spot this year, a little bit weird with Josh Okogie, Andy Wiggins at the 2 and the 3. Almost penciled those two guys in at the 2 and the 3. Culver will get some ball handling responsibilities. His shot needs to fall. We know that, but I think it's a solid enough pick to get him with that ADP of number 7 for your Dynasty rookie drafts. Don't forget to check out Locked On NFL. It is now a new format hosted by Brian Peacock with former NFL scout Matt Williamson giving his unique take on the league. NFL is ready to go, so make sure you're listening to Locked On NFL. It's your daily national podcast. Follow Locked On NFL now on your favorite podcast provider. All right, let's move on to the next bunch of guys we're looking at here with an ADP of 7 as well, marginally below where Culver was, but still at 7. Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls. White struggled in Summer League with his shot. Where he fits into the point guard rotation this season remains to be seen. Of course, Chris Dunn, Tomas Satoransky there. I think they'll run White as the backup behind Satoransky, and he won't be getting big minutes for this season, but I think he can be a useful player. I would have had him probably ahead of Culver. I'm pretty sure if I go back to my Dynasty ranks, he's ahead of him. He's got some dynamic scoring ability. The ability to generate assists is okay for White. It's more encouraging than, say, what it is for Garland, which does help him as a point guard option, but he comes in there at number 7. This is another option where another situation where I think that some of my thoughts on these players did influence people making these draft picks. With an ADP of 9, my man, the Dart, Goga Batadze.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Yes, Goga comes in at number 9. Now, Goga this season is going to be probably the primary backup behind Miles Turner, but we will see some Sabonis at center lineups as well. So Goga, I think, will be an opening night rotation player. He won't be a 20-minute-a-night guy, but of course, if something happens to Miles Turner, then we're going to see a lot of Goga. He's got a chance to me. Picking him ADP of 9 is fine. He could very easily be the third best player in this draft class. He can block shots, he can shoot a bit, he can score, he can rebound. He's smart. Defensive stuff needs some work, especially pick and roll defense, but that hopefully will come. But I think he's a ready-made contributor already at a pretty young age. At ADP of 9 as well, Cam Reddish. Reddish had some troubling numbers at Duke with his shooting, 2-point shooting, but his 3-point volume and his steal rate were really encouraging. Can he be a guy that can be a fantasy contributor in Atlanta? He's going to play this season. Whether he can get more minutes than DeAndre Hunter seems unlikely, but there is an opportunity for Reddish. And if he can hit threes at a decent rate, if he can generate steals, and if he can handle the ball, which I believe there will be small opportunities for him in Atlanta to handle the ball, he's an interesting guy. And I don't mind him there at 9 as an ADP in Dynasty rookie drafts. At 10, definitely influenced by Summer League, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I don't think Alexander-Walker will be a rotation guy every night this season. He was excellent in Summer League, and I think he's going to be a strong player. I think I had him at maybe 12 in my Dynasty rank, so an ADP of 10 sounds about right. That's pretty strong for Alexander-Walker, but expecting too much out of him this season, I think you'll be a little bit disappointed. Same with the other guy with an ADP of 10, Alexander-Walker's teammate, Jackson Hayes. I don't think we'll see Hayes as an every night rotation guy. There's Jahlil Okafor and Derek Favors. Maybe he overtakes Okafor at some point, but Hayes is pretty thin. He's a poor rebounder. He's got a long way to go to be an impact NBA player, in my opinion. He can get there. The shooting numbers are encouraging. The free throw shooting in particular, the shot blocking really, really strong from Jackson Hayes, and it is a solid enough pick there at number 10, or have an ADP at number 10 in these Dynasty rookie drafts. At number 13, my man Sekou Doumbouya of the Detroit Pistons. We didn't really see him in Summer League. I would hope the Pistons use him as a rotation player because their wings aren't all that particularly strong. I don't imagine he has a massive impact, but he's long enough, he's athletic, he's got a really strong profile, and if he finished, say, as the 6th or 7th best player out of this class, I wouldn't be surprised at all. He does have tremendous upside. The defensive stats, some shooting, some rebounding, passing is probably something we do need to see happen, but I like Sekou there at number 13 in these Dynasty ADPs. Let's look at the next one now at number 13, Deandre Hunter, higher than I would have taken him. We didn't see much from him in Summer League. I don't think he's a game changer. He's going to have to translate his reputation as a good defender into a defender that gets defensive stats, and they can be two totally different things, especially for fantasy. Will he get any usage? Will he pass? Will he rebound? There are a lot of concerns to me with Deandre Hunter and his overall fantasy value. Now, I think he will start this season for the Atlanta Hawks, and that's going to push him in terms of year one redraft rankings higher than some of these other guys like Batadze, like Kobe White, most likely, like Alexander Walker, like Hayes. He'll probably get more production this season just because he's going to be in a larger role. The Hawks invested so much capital in being able to get him, which I think was a poor move from them. But in terms of long-term value, I'm not massive on Deandre Hunter. He had an ADP of 13. I probably wouldn't have gone with him at that spot. At number 14. Tyler Hero of the Miami Heat. Now, Hero really got people excited. He had a typical, let's get excited summer league situation. Took a lot of shots, didn't hit them all that well. Put himself in a role where he wasn't in Kentucky, and that does help him with that ball handling, and that looks solid. But in Miami, he's not going to get this sort of usage. He needs to be efficient. Maybe he can take over from Dion Waiters at some point as a starting shooting guard, but they could also run with Jimmy Butler there at shooting guard, pushing Justice Winslow to small forward. His path to significant minutes this season is not all that clear, and will he ever become a good enough player outside of his shooting to be an impact guy? Now, his shooting is elite. Free throw shooting especially, that three-point shooting needs to come along. I have confidence that it will. He needs to be able to do more stuff and handle the ball. I don't think it's going to happen this season. I think that's about the right spot for him. Another spot that I think was a little bit influenced by my ranks, and that's Grant Williams at number 14 for the Boston Celtics, ADP of 14, much higher than his actual NBA draft spot. I do think that he will be a rotation guy immediately. He's got to be able to knock down shots, but efficiency, defensive stats, rebounding, he can pass a little bit as well. There's a real opportunity for Grant, and I think that's a pretty smart spot to have him there at number 14. At number 16, Rui Hachimura of the Washington Wizards, like DeAndre Hunter, a player who will probably exceed many of those guys ahead of him in year one, just because of the situation with the Wizards. Now, I'm not sure he's going to be the starter. There is Davis Bertans there at power forward. I think they'll probably go with Bertans as the starter and run Hachimura off the bench. His lack of passing, defensive issues, lack of three-point shooting, lack of feel for the game does have me worried about him long-term. I did bump him up in my post-Summer League Dynasty ranks, and this is probably a decent enough spot for Hachimura. ADP of 17, Matisse Thybulle of the Philadelphia 76ers. Unbelievable defensive numbers, showed the same sort of thing in Summer League, but also added an ability to shoot, and there's a real opportunity here in Philadelphia. James Ennis got one of those backup spots locked down. But other than that, is it going to be DRC Zaire Smith? Is it going to be Thybulle? They've got to replace TJ McConnell, who was in that rotation there as well. Thybulle has an opportunity, can be an elite steal streamer immediately. And I think he's got the ability to be a solid enough long-term contributor. He is an older rookie, as many of these guys are, because it is a weak draft class. But Thybulle's defensive ability, the blocks, and especially the steals, and if he can start hitting threes, there is real value in Matisse Thybulle as a player. So he's ADP at 17. 19 was Bruno Fernando, a second-round pick of the Atlanta Hawks. I think there's an opportunity for him to be a starter at some point this season. Alex Len is the starter for the Hawks. Maybe they go with John Collins there at times. Collins, I don't think, can be a full-time center with his lack of defense and rim protection. But Fernando could come in, have some opportunities if Len does get hurt. I think that's a solid enough spot. People might be surprised, given that he was a second-round player, to see him there with an ADP of 19. But I don't think there's anything nonsense about that at all. The next bunch of guys at number 20, a player we didn't see at Summer League, PJ Washington, Paul Washington Jr. of the Charlotte Hornets. The word from Charlotte is that he won't necessarily be with the big team for all of the season, playing for the Greensboro Swarm. I think that's right. If I'm wrong, please correct me. So playing in the G League, I don't really know where Washington. I didn't like the pick of Washington at that spot in the draft. I don't really know where he's going to fit in the NBA, but Kentucky, benefit of the doubt, is going to him at this point. So him at number 20 is solid enough. Another second round guy, Carson Edwards, had an ADP of 20 as well for the Boston Celtics. Looked really strong in Summer League. Has an opportunity to be an every night rotation guy from day one as the backup point guard behind Kemba Walker. His passing numbers are always going to be the concern, but can he score and can he do that in enough volume to be a useful enough player? I think that's fair enough. At number 22, Chuma Okeke of the Orlando Magic. I don't think we see Okeke play this season for the Magic. A wing who has the ability to score, to shoot a little bit, but mainly generate defensive numbers is where Okeke falls in. Now, of course, Johnny Isaac, the Chief, Al-Farouq Aminu.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Aaron Gordon there, got the 3 and the 4 locked down for this season. Okeke is a few years away there. That is an investment in the future, but I do believe in him being something of an important wing player moving forward, maybe along the lines of the Jedi or Anunoby.
Hello there.
That sort of a player, though. It's his real make or break season, I guess, this season, Anunoby. But Okeke comes in there with an ADP of 22. At 24, people taking the flyer on Bol, who signed a 2-way with the Denver Nuggets. I guess because of the relative weakness of this draft class, taking a flyer on Bol, who can be an elite shooter and elite shot blocker, is worth it. I have serious doubts about whether he is ever going to be a rotational NBA player. Couldn't get a contract with the Nuggets, a real full contract on that 2-way. Injury concerns, size concerns, motivation concerns. But when you look at the guys coming after him, it's fair enough to take a flyer on him here. At 26, ADP of 26, Nasir Little of the Portland Trailblazers. Bad last year, poor in Summer League. Good rebounder, I'll give him that. The Blazers need a 3. I don't think he's going to be getting those minutes. Bazemore, Rocket Rodney Hood are probably going to be filling most of those minutes for this team. Little is a long way away, and I'm getting more and more out on him as time goes by. At number 27, after a strong Summer League, Daniel Gafford, a strong ADP there for him. Will he be the backup center in Chicago, or will they run with a more Larry Markkinen there? Will it be Luke Cornett running that role? Regardless, I think as early as next season, Gafford will be getting the bulk of those backup minutes there in Chicago. And showed that he can be a useful player, blocking shots, finishing well, really smart sort of movement stuff. I do believe in him that he could have 1 or 2 seasons as a starter, probably not with Chicago, with Wendell Carter there, but solid enough pick there at number 27 for Danny Gafford of the Chicago Bulls. ADP of 28, Darius Bazley of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm not really all that interested in Bazley now. There is a lot of opportunity for him there in OKC with Paul George gone. There's going to be some weird rotations. DeAndre Burton, MC Hamidou Diallo, Bazley, Abdul Nadir. These guys are going to be getting minutes regularly. Which one of those guys stands out remains to be seen. Bazley, the shooting is the concern. Can be an interesting shot-blocking wing. Can he get some rebounds? I'm not all that high on him long-term. Nor am I all that high on number 28, Romeo Langford, who was picked at number 14 in the NBA draft. We didn't see him in Summer League. I had him ranked pretty low in my Dynasty ranks, and the ADPs have reflected that. Langford, not a great shooter in college, and by not great I mean bad, not a good assister. He's like a wing who can finish at the rim, and that's a positive for him, but what else is he going to be able to bring? That's what we need to see. At 28, Kevin Porter Jr. of the Cleveland Cavaliers, not a guy that I imagine to play all of the season, or most nights of the season. The shooting, what is it? Is a bad free throw shooter, good 3-point shooter? Which one of those two is real? What else does he do? That's the problem with Porter. Outside of ISO scoring, can he actually do anything else? And that's the concern with him. But that's about the right spot. 29, Taylor Horton Tucker. The weirdly profiled, he's got such a weird body, super long arms, like chubby looking, weird short guy. Look, just weird, but generates numbers, steals, can pass a little bit, can rebound a bit. An opportunity with the Lakers, probably not coming this season, but a guy that long term, again, we know the NBA turns over their rosters so much that Horton Tucker might be on the Lakers, other players might not be there. Who knows, but it is a decent spot there as a second rounder. 29, Dylan Windler of the Cavs. I think he'll be in the rotation for most of the season for the Cavs. Showed some really strong rebounding numbers in college. I'm not sure he's going to get that same opportunity in Cleveland, but the shooting is there. Defensive stats is where we have to see if that can come through, but that's solid enough. And 29 with an ADP of 29 as well is Cam Johnson of the Phoenix Suns, who I do think will be a rotation guy immediately this season. Maybe he produces Landry Shamet type 3-point output, but absolutely nothing else. The worries about his age and his injuries are absolutely a concern for Cam Johnson as we move forward. The next group of guys, ADP of 31, Nicky Claxton of the Brooklyn Nets, barely going to play behind DeAndre Jordan and Jarrett Allen this season. Still got some development in him. That's fine there. 31 was Luka Samanic of the San Antonio Spurs. Rookies generally don't play much for the Spurs. Their front court is a little barren behind Aldridge and Jakob Poeltl. With Davis Bertans gone, there's Trey Lyles in the mix. He's maybe going to have to get those minutes, so they push Rudy Gay and Damari Carroll up, most likely. I'm not sure Samanic is ever going to be an impactful guy. Another couple of first-round guys who have slid here in these ADPs. 32 for Ty Jerome of the Phoenix Suns and 32 for Fionda Kabengele of the Clippers. I actually like Kabengele. I think there is some value in him. It's going to be a long way off with the Clippers, but a guy that can shoot the three ball, can block some shots, can rebound the ball as well. There's something there. Jerome, I'm not all that sold on. I think he profiles more as a Jalen Brunson type guy. At 35, another Spurs player, Keldon Johnson, who looked actually pretty good in summer league, scored well, but the lack of assist and defensive numbers is the real concern with him. Can he do any of that? Not really going to have much of an opportunity this season, I don't believe it. Anyway, and this one has to be influenced by my Dynasty rookie ranks. At number 36, the Memphis Grizzlies two-way guy, John Conchar, who put up some of the most bizarre stat lines in summer league, like 0.7 steals, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, just stupid numbers all over the place. The shooting for him is absolutely the concern, but he can run things. He can produce numbers in multiple areas. Just don't expect him to ever be a scorer. I think he will get converted into a full contract at some point and probably profiles more as a backup. But with Tyus Jones and Demetrius Morant there in Memphis, where's Conchar fitting? Maybe he can play the two. Maybe Dylan Brooks doesn't pan out. That's definitely a possibility. But that's an interesting pick there at 36. It's where I would have had him, but it seems influenced by my thoughts on him. The next bunch of ADPs at 36, Iggy, Braz Dacus of the Knicks, played really well in Summer League as a power forward. He's going to get probably 0 minutes this season, of course, with Kevin Knox, who should be playing at power forward, with Marcus Morris, who should be playing at power forward, with Randall, with Portis, with Gibson, with all those guys in the mix. Hard to see Braz Dacus playing much, but that's an investment for the future. At number 40, on ADP of 40, Jordy Poole. Jordy Poole, I believe, for the Warriors will be a rotation guy from day one. He will hit threes. He will do very little else, and I'm not sure his upside is really there, but he will fill a need immediately this season. Number 42, good old KZ Okpala of the Miami Heat. Not really a rotation guy. I'm not that high on him, but no problem with taking him at this spot. And number 42, also ADP, Jalen LeCue of the Phoenix Suns, a undrafted guy who they did give a 4-year contract to, 2 years of that guaranteed. Now, Ty Jerome, Tyler Johnson, Ravishing Rick Rubio are all ahead of him in the rotation. There's probably someone else I'm missing there. So we're not going to see much of LeCue this season, more playing for Northern Arizona in the G League, but absolutely one of those guys who didn't go to college, an Anthony Simons type that we can at least pay attention to. And I like the pick of him there. 44, Terence Davis. The closer we get to the season, I think that Terence Davis of the Toronto Raptors, I think he's got a real chance to start for this team. That might sound wild. We have to replace Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. I think the Jedi, OG Anunoby, moves into the starting small forward spot.
Hello there.
They could start Fred VanVleet. They could start Norm Powell, but I think we might see Davis start. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean start and play 30 minutes. Maybe it's 20 minutes, but there is a real chance there for him. He can score the ball pretty well. He's going to be interesting to see how they use him, but I think he's going to be a rotation guy almost immediately. Another ADP there at 44, Alen Smailagic of the Golden State Warriors. They love this guy. There is still some opportunity there for him, of course, with Willie Cauley-Stein and Kevon Looney as the centers. But backup power forward, it's open. I think Eric Pascal's going to get those minutes this season, but Smailagic probably is more of a center than a power forward. Still a ways away, but an interesting pick there. And I think that's worth the investment in a dynasty format at number 44. At ADP of 45, Terrence Mann of the Clippers. Some really weird numbers at Summer League as they used him as a point guard. Lots of rebounds, strong assists. Playing this year, not much. While 46, Admiral Schofield, and 46, Justin Robinson, both ADPs of those Wizards guys. Schofield, I think, is a rotation player from day one. Can he shoot? That's the question. Is his upside there? Probably not. Robinson, I think, has an opportunity to actually be the best point guard on this team for the Wizards. Ish Smith and Isaiah Thomas ahead of him. Robinson is really interesting to me. I think that's strong picks to get him there at 46. Naz Reid, a two-way guy of the Timberwolves at 47. That's probably a bit early for me. While 47, Eric Pascal, and someone in one of the drafts picked Garrison Matthews, a two-way guy at 47 as well. Pascal is a guy here who is going to be a rotation guy, I believe, immediately for the Warriors this season. running through the back end of things, ADP of 47, Cody Martin of the Hornets, 48, Isaiah Roby, 48, Kyle Guy of the Kings, 49, Big Taco Fall, 49, DD of the Pelicans, who he's going to play in Australia this season, so not going to get any impact for him, but I think he can be an NBA rotation wing, definitely. ADP of 51, which coincidentally is his number, Tremont Waters of the Boston Celtics. Next, we go to number 52, ADP, Mariel Shyok. 52, Zylan Cheatham. 52 gives me an opportunity to play the soundbite. I forgot it last time.
Bort? Oh, come on, Bort?
Mommy, buy me a license plate!
No, come along, Bort.
Are you talking to me?
No, my son is also named Bort.
Yes, my son's name is also Dort. Luguentz Dort of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't really believe in him long-term as a prospect. We were down an ADP of 52. 53, Jalen McDaniels of the Charlotte Hornets. 53, Davidas Servatus of the Detroit Pistons, who will be staying in Europe this season. Two-way guy from the Mavs has an ADP of 53, Joshy Reeves. I think he's an interesting player. He's a little bit older, though. And let's just run through the back end of this. 54, Jalen Noel of the Timberwolves. 54, Chrissy Clemens of the Rockets. 54, Zach Norvell, who might play a little bit more now in LA with the Cousins injury. 55, Jarrell Brantley of the Jazz. 56, Justin Wright-Foreman of the Jazz as well. 56, Quindary Weatherspoon of the San Antonio Spurs. And then wrapping things up, 57, Jordan Bone of the Pistons. 57, someone did take a flyer on Jonte Porter, who wasn't drafted and hasn't been signed anywhere, but has absolutely huge level talent. But the injuries are a real concern. 57, Luke May. 59, Justin James of the Kings. 59, Dean Wade of the Cavs. And 56, Mia One of the Utah Jazz at ADP of number 60. That'll wrap it up for all of the Dynasty ADP results, plus the DeMarcus Cousins injury news. On YouTube, go and leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Let me know what you think of the show, what happens now with the Lakers, with Cousins, what value those guys have. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, on Spotify, and go and follow me on Twitter at redrock_bball and on Instagram at LockedOnFantasyBasketball. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. PJ Washington.